In this true crime documentary, we uncover the shocking case of Kate Waring.
Somebody who's from an affluent, well-known, well-respected family doesn't just disappear.
She had the so-called perfect life. When she went missing, that was unusual.
For the work they've done and said she just wants Kate back home.
We feel hopeful, and we've gone on for 4 months now. We're missing her so much. We dearly love her. It's been heartbreaking for our family not to know where she is, and I'm just hoping that something will break pretty soon now.
Danger doesn't always come with a loud noise or an obvious threat. Sometimes it sneaks in wearing the face of an ordinary person who smiles and tries to get closer. We might open the door with good intentions, thinking we're doing something kind or gaining a friend. But before letting any stranger into our lives, we need to ask one simple question. What do we really know about them? Because trust given without caution can in a single moment become the beginning of the end. Our story today begins with a young woman who could only be described as one of the most humble and kind-hearted people. She loved helping others, but her only mistake was not stopping for a moment to ask herself if the person she was trying to help truly deserved it, or if he was nothing more than a living lie walking on earth. Everything began on the Palmetto train operated by Amtrak, a line that stretches from New York City all the way down to Savannah, Georgia. It covers 829 miles passing through Washington, D.C., Fayetteville, Charleston, before its final stop deep in Georgia, a journey long enough for lives to intersect in unexpected ways. Inside that train on a May morning in 2009 sat a young woman. She was tall, red blonde, just 28 years old. Her name was Kate Waring. She wasn't traveling the full route. Her destination was Charleston, South Carolina, the city she called home. Kate was the daughter of the South, raised in a wealthy family whose roots stretched back generations. Her parents, Tom and Janice, had only one daughter. She had two brothers, one older and one younger. She moved through life on her own terms. School had never been her passion, not because she lacked intelligence, quite the opposite. She spoke 4 languages and had a natural gift for writing novels. Formal studies simply couldn't hold her. But not everything was golden in Kate's life. Her family later discovered she had been assaulted as a child by a family friend. The trauma followed her into adulthood. She battled eating disorders, depression, and she turned to alcohol to cope. Her life was unstable both physically and emotionally. The one escape that gave her peace was travel. It became her medicine. At first with her father, later on her own. Moscow became her favorite place, a city whose culture and language she adored. That passion for Russia was the reason she had come to Washington, D.C. to apply for a long-term visa. But complications with paperwork left her waiting. So she boarded the Palmetto train, 9.5 hours from the capital to Charleston. She settled in using the time to work on a chapter of her novel, a book she hoped to publish in 2010. Then fate intervened. A woman sat down beside her. She introduced herself as Dr. Heather Comp, a pediatric surgeon, and they began to talk. Heather shared a tragic story. She told Kate she had lost her daughter to leukemia, that her son was staying with family, and she was traveling to Charleston to start a new position at a children's hospital treating critically ill patients. But her new beginning was already shattered by misfortune. She claimed she had been robbed before boarding the train, losing all her money. Kate listened closely. Her heart pulled toward this grieving mother who had given so much yet suffered so deeply. A woman who had lost a child, left another behind, and still dedicated herself to saving lives. Kate felt compassion outweigh caution. She reached into her purse and handed Heather money to help her get back on her feet. From that moment forward, Kate Waring and Dr. Heather Comp became close friends. When Kate arrived in Charleston and went back home, she told her mother about the wonderful doctor she had met on the train. Later, Janice met her once. But that single meeting was enough for Janice to say to Kate that this woman did not seem like a grieving mother who had lost a daughter. Something felt wrong. But Kate did not think much of it. Her mother had always been protective, especially in recent years, when Janice grew closer to her after Kate began seeing a therapist to deal with her childhood trauma and to fight her addictions to alcohol and drugs. For Janice, her daughter's closeness to Dr. Heather did not seem dangerous. Between May 2009 and June 10, 2009, Kate appeared happier than ever, full of energy and joy. Janice believed it was because of her new friendship with Heather and all the time they spent together. But what Janice didn't know was that Kate's happiness had another source. On her last trip to Moscow, Kate had met a young man, and they were still in contact. Her connection with Heather had little to do with her joy. The truth was far more complicated than anyone could imagine. On Friday, June 12th, Thomas and Janice returned from their second home, an hour outside Charleston, expecting to find Kate in the house. But she wasn't there. At first, they thought she had finally left for Moscow, since she had been pushing hard to complete her paperwork. But when Janice entered Kate's room, she found all of her daughter's medication still there untouched. That told them Kate had not traveled. The family waited until Sunday, but Kate never showed up and her phone stayed off. All her parents could think of was relapse. The only times Kate had disappeared without telling anyone were during her struggles with drugs. Outside of that, she always called to let them know where she was. By the morning of June 12th, Thomas and Janice agreed that if Kate did not show up that day, they would contact the police. But before they could make the call, a phone rang. It was for Thomas, and it would change everything. The call came from the bank. They told him someone was trying to cash a check in Kate's name. They suspected the signature was fake. They also informed him that the joint account he shared with his daughter had just $100 left on the check being presented was for $4,500. In that moment, Thomas understood that his daughter's disappearance was not normal. He asked the bank to notify the police immediately, and he rushed there himself. Thomas walked into the bank, expecting to face a thief, maybe even the person behind his daughter's disappearance. But instead, he came face to face with Ethan Mack. Ethan was in shock to see Kate's father there with police by his side. Ethan Mack was not a stranger to Kate. He was her closest friend. She often called him her big brother. For the past 5 years, Ethan had stepped in more than once to pull Kate out of serious trouble. Thomas had never met him in person before that day, but the name was one he had heard from Kate many times. Ethan told police the last time he saw Kate was Friday night, June 12th. They went out for dinner and drinks. He drove her home. They exchanged a few text messages that night, and then it all stopped. When police asked to search his home, he agreed immediately. He wanted to help in any way he could once he realized Kate had been missing for over 2 days. Officers combed through his house but found nothing suspicious. By the end of that day, Kate Waring was officially declared missing. Investigators turned first to her phone records. The last signal had come from a tower far from her home. At first, this seemed troubling, but then police learned the tower closest to her house had been partially down that night. Many phones in the area were automatically rerouted to the next tower. In other words, there was no doubt Kate had made it home. Security cameras confirmed it. Footage showed her around 8 p.m. buying wine, looking calm and normal. Kate was 28 years old, legally an adult. There was no immediate sign of a crime, no clear evidence of foul play. Police reasoned she could have simply chosen to leave on her own, perhaps even gone to Moscow, as she had talked about so often. Without proof otherwise, there was no reason to launch a full-scale criminal investigation. But for Thomas and Janice, that explanation was unthinkable. Their daughter vanishing to Russia without a word was not a possibility they could accept. So they made a decision. They would not wait anymore. They hired a private investigation unit known as Team A. This team was made up of former detectives who specialized in disappearances and homicide. From this moment forward, the search for Kate Waring would unravel a chain of betrayal and deception, darker than anyone could have imagined. The A-team started where the police had left off with Kate's phone. But unlike law enforcement, they weren't convinced by the theory that the signal had automatically bounced to a distant tower. First, because the main tower near Kate's home was still partially functional. Second, and more importantly, because they contacted the phone company directly. The company confirmed that only a very small percentage of calls were rerouted to that distant tower. And that tower in particular covered a swampy remote area, not the kind of place phones should have been redirected to in large numbers. This detail convinced the investigators that the signal captured from Kate's phone might have been her final moments alive. And as they kept digging, they circled back to Ethan Mack, the last man who admitted seeing Kate alive. Ethan seemed to be living a normal life. It had already been over 4 months since Kate's disappearance. But surveillance by the private team revealed something shocking. Ethan didn't actually live in the house the police had searched. That was his mother's home. He only visited her there from time to time. His real residence was half an hour away, and in that home, he was living with a woman. The team quickly identified her. It was Heather Comp, the same woman Kate had met on the train, the same woman Kate had once described to her mother as a new friend. The private investigators dug into Heather's past, and the mask came off. She wasn't a doctor. She wasn't a pediatric surgeon. She had no medical license at all. She was a con artist, arrested multiple times for forgery across different states. Once even accused of drawing blood from a child she babysat. She spun outrageous lies about being from royal families or connected to the mafia. Her pattern was always the same: meet a man, move in, drain his finances, leave him buried in debt, then repeat. With that background, the forged check suddenly made perfect sense. Kate had met a master manipulator on the train, a woman who then became involved with Kate's closest friend, Ethan, and not long after Kate vanished. The team uncovered another disturbing detail. Ethan had claimed he and Kate went out for dinner on June 12th, the night she disappeared. But the bill was far too large for just 2 people. It looked like 3 meals, strongly suggesting Heather was there as well. With every piece of evidence, the suspicion deepened. The private team gathered their findings and turned them over to the police. Then came yet another twist. Only 1 month into her relationship with Ethan, Heather was already cheating on him with a neighbor who visited her daily while Ethan was at work. After months of relentless digging, authorities finally moved. Ethan Mack and Heather Comp were arrested on charges of forgery tied to Kate Waring's checks.
2009 Fugitive from Justice is pending.
Judge Linda Lombard said it was their criminal record that convinced her Ethan Mack and Heather Camp should get a high bond. She called the couple dangerous. Camp, the judge says, is a fugitive in 4 states with a second-degree robbery conviction. Mack said to have a couple of drug charges and 1 gun charge from 2007 that is still pending. Mack's lawyer used his slim criminal record and the fact that he's from here and has roots here as a reason why he is not a flight risk. But the judge didn't buy it.
The bond on each count is $100,000. Each of you has 2 counts. The total bond is $200,000.
I met her as Angelica Walker.
Steve Perry says Angelica is the same woman we know as Heather Camp. He says she's used several names. Perry hasn't been contacted by Charleston authorities and wonders why. He says she wrote a check on his account in Indiana, then tried to pay him back with a check stolen from a different account.
She wrote it to me to pay for the check that she had stolen from me.
Perry calls her a pathological liar who clearly needs help. At the time of her arrest in Charleston, Camp reportedly claimed to be pregnant. Perry tells me she's lied about being pregnant many times, but he says she does have 2 children, a boy and a girl.
And she went to take me to meet them, and that's when I realized that it was a foster parent that brought the children to a supervised visitation.
The foster care situation, he said, she tried to cover up. Another cover-up, he says, the claim she was a nurse.
After the arrests, investigators inside the station had only one question. What happened to Kate, and where was she? In the end, it was Heather who decided to talk.
Because you guys have him on what? A forgery? And if he gets out, do you know what happens to me?
You think he's getting out right now?
No.
I mean, come on.
I'm not getting out.
What do you think, where he's going to bond out? Heather, what you're telling me is he killed her. He killed her and he hid the body. The question is, where did he kill her right now?
I don't know where he killed her.
It didn't happen on Riley Road?
No, it did not happen on Riley Road. No, it did not.
How much more is there that you're not going to tell me? You knew about this Monday, is what you're telling me. You're telling me you found out about it Monday. You got married when?
We got married Tuesday.
You got married Tuesday. Okay, and you have this marriage on Tuesday. You knew about it Monday. You chose not to tell anybody because you're saying you couldn't get away. Well, how can you not get away when you're at work on your own and he's
I
over at
wasn't
the
at
house?
work on Tuesday, sir.
You were today.
I was at work. I was at work today, but I was not at work on Tuesday.
Well, I didn't get no calls today. You had every chance to come clean when we brought you in over here. You didn't. You didn't.
I asked for
And I'm supposed to believe that it was because you were so afraid of Ethan. That's why you couldn't tell me. Come on, Heather. How much more is there? All right, you're telling he killed her. All right, he killed her. It was an accident. It was an accident. If you freaked out, you didn't know what to do. You didn't know what to do. He had too much coke. He had whatever you're telling me. He had too much powder. As far as I know right now, you might have witnessed it. As far as I know, it may have happened in your apartment or right in front of it.
Can you at least tell me one thing?
Yeah.
Did you guys? I know you guys picked him up. Is he okay?
He's, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's in county right now. Yeah.
He's okay.
He's fine. Yeah.
I still love him. No matter what. I don't know you may think that's stupid.
I don't think anything's stupid anymore, Heather. I just don't think that's stupid. It is what it is. You know. Let's get you a cigarette and we'll come back here. Come on.
At first, she pointed the finger entirely at Ethan. She told detectives that he was the one who killed Kate and that she had been too afraid to stop him. She claimed Ethan lured Kate to his apartment, struck her with a wine bottle, forced her into a suitcase, and drowned her in the bathtub. But her story didn't end there. She admitted she was present during the killing. She even confessed to helping with some of the aftermath, cleaning, covering up traces of the crime. Soon the investigators escorted Heather back to the apartment she had shared with Ethan. There, they asked her to walk them through what had happened.
Heather, what we were wanting to do now is have you show us where the suitcase was, where Catherine was when Ethan struck her with the wine bottle.
Okay, Kate was still in the suitcase. The case was open. Grabbed the wine bottle. Came right around here. I moved. I'm standing here. He's standing here. He picked up the wine bottle. He had it reversed twice. For the first 2 times, you could hear like a crunch, but the bottle didn't break. The 3rd time was the time that the bottom of it broke, but the top part was still intact. He lifted her out and put her on the thing, and then I helped him drag the blanket that she was on from the past the living room floor into the kitchen where she was laying this way. And she, in the bathroom, he had already put the bags over her feet and her head. So from that point, a couple of hours until the morning, he went to the store and got the other stuff. I don't remember which store it was. He got the mop, the OxyClean stuff, 2 pairs of gloves and stuff. We cleaned the inside of the house, the walls, the bathroom, everything.
While she was still on the kitchen floor?
Yes, sir.
By the end of that day, Heather gave investigators a new lead. She claimed Kate's body had been taken to Wadmalaw Island. She pointed them toward pawn shops where Kate's jewelry had been sold. She even mentioned items they had hidden inside the apartment she shared with Ethan. But when police followed her directions, they found nothing. No body at the spot she had described. Frustration mounted. By now, detectives were exhausted from Heather's endless lies. They began to suspect this was just another of her manipulations. So they went back to her with a warning. The deal she had been promised in exchange for testimony against Ethan could be taken away if she continued to lie. But the private investigators of the A-team saw it differently. They believed there was truth buried in her words. Not because they trusted Heather, but because they trusted the hard data. The phone company's report showed Kate's last signal had in fact come from a tower covering Wadmalaw Island. And before that day was over, the team proved it right. On that remote stretch of land, they uncovered the remains of Kate Waring.
911, what's the address of emergency?
Yes, ma'am. This is Robert Minter.
Okay, you need police, fire, or EMS, sir?
Police.
What's the address, Hutton?
Wait, there's no address. It's in the woods. We found the body of Kate Waring.
You believe you found the body of Kate Waring?
Yes, you know we did.
In the woods?
Yes. Hello.
Hey, Sarge. You ready for this?
No.
This guy is adamant that he found Kate Waring in the woods off of Polly Point Road.
Off of where?
Polly Point Road in Wadmalaw Island.
he had.
After the discovery of Kate Waring's remains, investigators had no choice but to sit down once more with Ethan. Despite everything, he remained adamant. He insisted he had nothing to do with Kate's death. He swore he was not her killer.
You understand that you're being charged with obstruction of justice and forgery?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You've not been charged with murder?
You ain't put that on me, no, Jay. But it's coming.
Not necessarily. Obstruction of justice.
I ain't forged no check. You can take a handwriting sample, whatever. I ain't forged no check.
Listen. The obstruction of justice charge is a 10-year charge. 10 years.
You know, that's a long time.
That's a long time.
25 years is a long time. 1 year is a long time. 2 years is a long time.
Thank you. Thank you. We don't want to do this.
Obstruction of justice.
Obstruction of justice was when you lie regarding an investigation. It's that simple. It's that simple. You're right about that.
Cause y'all put a fly out there with $30,000 on them, and then the little private investigator
$50,000.
Well, 50, however it is. Then the little private investigator dude ride around in the hood and ride around at different places with his little duffel bag of money, going telling this person, oh yeah, you used to ever see her with this person or this person, you ever see him with this girl, yeah, these two right here, the one is the suspect and her murder, this and that, yeah, I got this money right here, there's $15,000 right here in this bag right now, if you can tell me something. So,
okay.
So no wonder why when people would come and tell y'all anything.
Well, you know what? You know how much faith, how much credit I give those people? No.
How much do I give them a whole lot of faith, dog, if y'all come and lock me up behind us?
We didn't lock you up because of what they said. We locked you up because of what she said. Who's telling the truth? Who's telling the truth? Are you lying, or is Angelica lying?
Lying about what?
Well, Angelica's telling us a story that's completely opposite of yours.
You just put
so who's lying?
Said, yeah, I can blow up. Yeah, I blow up sometimes.
So
yeah,
who's
I
lying?
Mad about things.
Are you lying, or is Angelica lying?
Who lying?
You tell me who's lying. So Angelica's a liar.
Why gotta lie to you?
Angelica's pointing her finger at you, saying that you did it.
Well, wherever you can see, however it is.
I'm not saying it. Angelica is.
In one of the strangest details of this case, after Heather and Ethan were taken from their apartment, the landlord cleaned the place and rented it out to new tenants. This made finding any physical evidence inside nearly impossible. In the end, the prosecution had to rely almost entirely on Heather's testimony. But once the trial began, everything unraveled. On the stand, Heather told not one, but more than 4 different versions of how Kate had been killed. The jury quickly lost trust in her words. Her plea deal collapsed. In October 2010, Heather pled guilty. She was sentenced to 39 years in prison for murder and fraud. Ethan's path was different. His first trial ended in a mistrial. Facing another round, he agreed to an offered plea. It meant he did not fully admit guilt, but acknowledged that the evidence could convict him. In exchange, the charge was reduced. Ethan Mack was sentenced to 25 years for manslaughter and fraud.
A lot of people, including the prosecutor, the judge, the family, all believe you were the mastermind of this murder. Were you?
No, I was not.
But today in court, and I'm going back to what the prosecutor had to say, the prosecutor said that this was, and I'm using her words, this was your kill. This was the Heather Camp show, and that this was Heather Camp's kill. You were the mastermind. You were the violent one. True or not true?
No, it's not true. Her thing was, and the family's is, they couldn't get Ethan because I lied, or else they would have got him for murder, and they most likely would have. So place the blame all on me, so it makes her look, she's got voters, she's got to, stand in front of the community and say, well, they got somebody, so pin it on somebody. They pinned it all on me, and I'm fine with that. If that's what had to have been done for them to make the family feel better, then that's fine. But that's not the way it was.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime documentaries. See you in the next video.